Victorian detectives, they tend to picture one man, Sherlock Holmes, the fictional detective created by Arthur Conan Doyle in 1887. With his deer stalker, his pipe and his bachelor associate Dr. Watson, Sherlock Holmes makes 19th century detection look definitively like a man's game. Until recently, historians have generally assumed that women played no part at all in Victorian policing or criminology. The arrival of a real female detective seemed as futuristic as Jules Verne's electrical submarine in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Well, I'm delighted to tell you that those historians were wrong. There were plenty of female detectives in Victorian Britain, but you had to know where to look for them. These small ads appeared in the Times for January 1875. As you can see, the confidential agency of Leslie and Graham in Holborn notes that they are assisted by men of 20 years' experience and female detectives. In the second ad for confidential agents Arthur Cleveland Montague and Company in Cornhill, they offer a large staff of experienced detectives, male and female. These ads show that women added value to the firms that could boast them, and since they were experienced, that women had been working there for some time. By the 1880s and 1890s, many private inquiry agencies from Dundee to Dover were employing women. One case that shows the difficulties that women faced as detectives and the risks they ran is that of CLARA LAYT, who worked for the detective agency Steggles and Darling. I'm at 22 Henrietta Street, Covent Garden, and this building behind me was one of the premises of Steggles and Darling Private Inquiry Agency. There were many private detective agencies clustering around this area of London in the Victorian period. It was close to the law courts and solicitors who often referred their clients to them. It was close to the newspaper offices of Fleet Street and the Strand, where they advertised their services. And it was also close to Theatreland, where many of their clients and suspects strayed. Richard Steggles and Alfred J. Darling had both been in the Metropolitan Police and had a successful career. And like many successful Victorian policemen, after their retirement, they formed their own private inquiry agency. They'd employed CLARA LAYT for about a year before they gave her the case that would prove her downfall. In April 1897, the female detective CLARA LAYT arrived here in Haddington, a small market town about 20 miles from Edinburgh. She was here to investigate a very peculiar case. William Hamilton Brune and his wife Lady Susan were the owners of Colston House, a rather grand property in the neighbourhood. They were worried about what seemed like a menacing pattern of events on their estate. 2 ponies had been injured and one of them had died. Rat traps had been sprung. They'd found eggs smashed in the hen house. Perhaps even more problematically, staff wouldn't stay. They were finding it difficult to recruit servants. William Hamilton Brune worried that somebody was spreading poisonous rumours about himself and his wife. Might there be real danger to them from a disgruntled employee? And if so, could they find out who it was? Clara was placed at Colston House in an undercover role as a linen maid. She worked as a servant from 8 a.m. in the morning until 9 p.m. at night. It was hard work, mending stair carpets, bed sheets, tablecloths. In between her routine duties, she had to find time to interview the other servants in a casual way, trying to discover what they thought of Colston and whether they might be the snake in the grass. Some days CLARA LAYT walked the 2.5 miles from Colston into Haddington to interview the local barber, the local solicitor, all people whom William Hamilton Brune suspected of spreading malicious gossip about him. He even suspected the local post office might be tampering with his letters. Indeed, paranoia is not too strong a word to describe the local laird's anxieties about his social reputation. Clara wrote letters to her employers, Steggles and Darling, reporting what she had discovered. Very unusually, these letters survive. They're here in Register House in Edinburgh. They show that Clara wrote a good hand, though her grammar was sometimes shaky. The rumours she heard were toxic. They concerned venereal disease, divorce, and the legacy of colonial violence in India. This building also houses the records of the trial where Steggles and Darling took William Hamilton Broome to court, a scandal that shook Victorian Edinburgh and resulted in a death. But who was the snake in the grass? Why did Clara LAYT end up in court? And was it the female detective or her employer who was telling the truth about the murky world of the Victorian country house, its slandering servants and suspicious owner?